Hi, everyone. Welcome to Shimmer Girl Talks. Today's topic is that incident in Minnesota where this white woman is seen in a video calling a 5-year-old autistic child, black child, the N-word with the hard ER. Now, I'm going to read this from Newsweek. I will put it in my description box. And then I'll get into my opinion and all of that type of stuff. So this is from Newsweek by Jenna Sundell. A Minnesota woman seen using a racial slur against a child in a video posted on social media has raised over $300,000 through a crowdfunding campaign, saying she and her family need to relocate for their safety. The incident, which occurred at Soldiers Field Memorial Park in Rochester, shows a woman identified as Shiloh Hendricks using an N-word in an argument with a man who confronted her about her language towards a black child. Now, as of the posting of this article, she has since raised over $600,000. And so I'm going to have a few points here, so I might be bouncing all over the place. Okay. I grew up in a predominantly white community from the 70s until the late 80s. We had moved to a predominantly black city 2 years in between that. But those were my formative years from the 70s and then later to the late 80s in a predominantly white community. And I can tell you as a black child, and I've shared this on my channel before, I have some form of PTSD in dealing with white people from a child's point of view. And what I've noticed with white people is they don't give black children, no matter how young, the same regard that they would give other children. That's not how I wanted to word it, as being innocent, happy-go-lucky little children. We're going to be viewed as a threat from cradle to grave. And if you follow my channel, you know I'm not one of those race baiting, type of people, victimology type people, but I will make observations and I will call out racism when it's there. And so just to give you a few racist incidents that happened to me as a kid, I remember being a 9-year-old little girl outside playing with my brothers, and some white men flying by in their car hurled out the N-word with the hard ER. And I remember going into the house and asking my mother, what's the N-word? And I remember her energy shifted. And I've shared that before. But going back to this white woman and white women in general, when I said they view little black boys, and I'm sure little black girls too, but little black boys as criminals, even as young as 5, as we can see here. And I'm going to get into what his alleged crime was. We don't know. I wasn't there. So I grew up with 2 brothers, and one of my brothers, he would probably be considered ADHD in today's terms, but this was back in the 70s, early 80s. And he liked to climb everything, tree, balconies, whatever. He liked to climb. That he was just being a rambunctious little boy. And again, little black boys are not viewed as innocent little curious little boys the way a white boy might be. A white boy is going to be seen as, well, boys will be boys, but a black boy is going to be viewed as a criminal right off the rip. So I remember I was about, 10, 11. So that made my brother about 9. And we might have walked to the store in the area. And I remember this white lady coming up to me and she's telling me that my brother was climbing her up her balcony trying to get into her apartment, which that was false because he was not, his mind didn't even go to theft or whatever, because we were raised better than that. My mother drilled into us, if it doesn't belong to you, don't touch it, don't steal, don't lie. We were raised in a Christian home. My brothers, their father was a minister. So that my brother was not, his mind was not there is what I'm saying. But that woman had no right coming to me as a child to tell me that. She should have been asking to speak to my mother. And another incident, walking home from school, this was in the 70s as well. And it was me, my one brother, I don't think my baby brother, he might not have, I don't think he was with us, and some other kids from the neighborhood. We lived in the projects in a predominantly white community. So we used to cut through this upscale white community. And I remember this white man just came out of nowhere and started chasing us. And we just scattered, screamed, and just took off running. And so I say all of that to say, I do have some form of PTSD in dealing with white people from when I was a kid. My parents should have been there to buffer us between adult white people and themselves, but I took a lot of that, on me. So going back to this witch calling a 5-year-old the N-word with the hard ER, allegedly he was caught in her child's diaper bag. And not right. I mean, we knew at 5, you don't touch stuff that doesn't belong to you. So she should have been asking to speak to the parent. I don't know if the parent was there. I saw part of the video, but I couldn't look at the whole thing. It's just too distressing. But one of the scary things for me, and I don't know if I mentioned it already, a lot of these types of women, they be your children's school teachers. That's what the sinking feeling is. A lot of these people be harboring this type of mindset, and they're teaching little black children. I also believe one reason why she is collecting all of this money, aside from the fact that she's white, thin, and blonde, is because this is the answer to that whole Austin Metcalf situation. I didn't even want to discuss that. I didn't want to make a video about that, but I think that this is in regards to that stabbing situation. White people are mad that that young man collected all of that money after stabbing a white classmate. That's an entirely different subject. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but I think that this is what this is. And even if that had not happened, she probably still would have collected that type of money. Before I end this video, speaking of another blonde white woman who verbally assaulted a young black male, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I did a video on that last year. Erica was drunk, no excuse, not at all, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But she cussed at Garcelle Bouveau's, one of her twins. And you could tell that he was kind of, taken aback and hurt by the way that woman spoke to him. And I know for a fact, this is the point I wanted to make, she would have never spoken to her other castmates' children like this. So the point that I made in that video last year or whenever I did it, white people do not view black boys as children. They view them as grown men with criminal minds. And I'm going to tack this on really quick. This black lady, she wrote an article some time ago to her white friends about dear white friends, or something like that, our sons, I forgot how she worded it, but I'm going to say this. White people are not obligated to love our children. Now, are they obligated or allowed to abuse them verbally, physically, or whatever? Absolutely not. But we as a race have to stop looking to them to love our children the way that we are supposed to love our children. And I was going to do a video on that, about that black lady and her white friends. She's basically begging her white friends to regard her sons as human, as children, as innocent, or whatever. That is not their responsibility. That's our responsibility. We are the one who is supposed to encapsulate, the children in our community. But that's another topic too, because like I said, what I have to say would go into very unpopular territory. I'm not going to go there right now. But tell me what you think about this woman. Do you think she deserves to have raised that type of money? Do you think it was revenge for Austin Metcalf? And I will talk to you later.